and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm black.
When it comes to animated media, we often find ourselves getting really involved in it. I mean, why wouldn't we? We get to escape to a new world that may not be anything like our own. We get fantasies, dramas, comedies, and the like that all play into our escapism. And we sometimes imagine ourselves as the characters in those situations going through certain dilemmas. They're either the heroes of the story, the villain, or just some innocent bystander that got wrapped up in something they didn't want to. Or you just imagine yourself as a chick, and I don't know your kinks, but a certain thing some of us care about is who these stories are about, particularly who these characters represent in life. A lot of us see so many different characters that represent a certain majority of a population. We as black people a lot of the time only get a few that can represent us as a whole. So it begs the question, why do we care so much about black representation in animation? Now it would be easier to say it's because we can't get over slavery, you know, if you're a racist, but it's a bit more complex than that. Most of the time growing up, at least for my generation, we didn't get to see ourselves in most of the media we consumed. Usually we would most of the time just get some white protagonist. Maybe someone would throw us a bone and give us a supporting role to the white hero, or just protagonist in general. It was fairly rare to get our own black protagonist. I think for us kids at that time, we should have been given a few more characters that resembled us more, particularly ones that didn't fit some sort of stereotype. We constantly got portrayed as the nerd, the one that was really good at sports, particularly basketball, or sometimes the ghetto friend. It's not to say some of us didn't fit that role in real time. Stereotypes sadly exist for a reason, but that doesn't mean it needed to be treated as the norm in animation. This does stem from a very gross history of our portrayal in media from a while ago, what I would like to call the stupid ages. Now, us black folk don't have the best history when it comes to how we were portrayed to the masses, lest we forget minstrel shows and all the blackface makeup that ruled an entire era in a very disgusting movie that brought about the revival of the freaking KKK, Birth of a Nation. Stuff like this constantly telling white audience how black people are gonna hurt white women in some gruesome way, or just plain showing us as being lazy as hell and disrespecting our culture and just showing us as these weird, disgusting, goofy creatures. This was big for animation as well at the time, some of them being from media conglomerates that are still used to this day. You already know Disney. You're not off the hook, Michael Mouse. I see you, you damn rat. You can't hide what you did.
And that's the double truth, Ruth.
It was basically a total barrage of beratement by white folk who had all the power to portray us how they saw us. Just dirty, lazy people who at the same time could destroy their whole society. Makes no sense, I know.
Ain't this a bitch?
It was kind of a mindset of ignorance and just plain stupidity that lasted for decades. For a minute, it felt like there was no end in sight to the ignorance. We got a bunch of characters that fed stereotype after stereotype from some we considered beloved classics like Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry. Hell, even Flintstones almost dipped its toes into some dumb shit. Thankfully, it was canceled before it went anywhere. But eventually things started to change post the Civil Rights Act that gave rise to a fair perception of us, some going as far as to degrade that mindset. I'm talking about Coonskin. Now, I did a video discussing this movie in particular already, so you can watch that to get a better perspective of things. But honestly, things were starting to turn for the better in terms of how we were seen by the masses. We started to get some black characters that managed to be the lead in some shows, mainly live action, but eventually it started to make its way to animation. We got characters that look like us, which made our consumption of this media something a bit easier. Granted, some of it was of pre-existing celebrities, like the Gary Coleman Show or the Jackson 5 cartoon, or even Mr. T for some weird-ass reason, but it was something, damn it. It still sadly was peanuts for a minute, but we got a varying degree later on with other shows and movies. Some were fairly unique for the time. Granted, some could feel like a token character or played into a stupid stereotype. Looking at you, Kid and Play. But a major film that was pretty prominent in letting black people into the driver's seat was Bebe's Kids. It gave us black characters that acted way closer to people we actually knew. It was definitely more a mirror into a bit of black culture that sort of eased our perception to white masses. Now there is sort of a topic that I have to address about these portrayals, particularly of the women, and that being colorism. For those who don't know, colorism, according to Merriam-Webster, is prejudice or discrimination, especially within a racial or ethnic group favoring people with lighter skin over those with darker skin. This definition changes from place to place, so don't get mad at me or anyone else that chooses different definitions from a different source. Basically,
don't quote me, boy, cause I ain't said shit.
Now, there are great videos going deep into discussion about this topic, one from my friend Storyteller, who does an excellent job of this and gives all the proper detailings on the subject matter. It basically is a prominent problem in some of our animated media that shows dark-skinned women as loud, rude, or just plain obnoxious, while light-skinned women are seen as more enjoyable to be around. A very particular character that comes to mind is Dejanay from the Proud Family. She's fairly selfish and loud, while her light-skinned friend Penny, who's the main protagonist by the way, is more collected on things. There may have been a few light-skinned girls on the show that were like Dejanay, but they were relegated to side characters a lot of the time, so you didn't see them much, especially if you missed a particular episode. It wasn't just her either. There was also Trixie from Jake Long, who comes to mind. She just kind of acted sort of a ghetto mindset, and while she could still be sort of smart, the attitude came across very much fairly, and that was what a lot of people remember about her. A generation can grow up thinking that these portrayals are how all dark-skinned women are, and that's never a good look. It overall is a problem plaguing our community that needs to be properly addressed among ourselves. I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, any nigga, be they light-skinned or dark, could get put back in the chains and go back in them fields, so it's definitely not right to have any superiority complex over each other. We ultimately shouldn't be having any wars over our skin tones, because all it does is divide us even more and harms the fight for equality and equity. We could definitely get mad there wasn't too many of us in the creators room for these characters, but that's sort of what it comes down to. We need more black creatives of different backgrounds being able to make the case for black characters of varying attitudes and backgrounds. But a great silver lining is that it started to happen already. We started getting black characters that didn't feel like one-horse stereotypes, even during that time of colorism. Characters that many black kids could either see themselves as or could just look up to because they resembled them. They were unique to themselves and allowed for great personalities that could inspire a new generation. The biggest contributor to that is that more black folk of different backgrounds got to be in the creator's room and have a say in how these black characters are to be portrayed. We even got characters that aren't humans but are definitely coded black in a positive manner, and it doesn't just stop there. We started getting a whole assortment of black characters in the current age of animation, all that can either be fun, quirky, or could be a douche even. Just great black characters that the youth have to look up to, or the old have to admire, or can just plain entertain. Now, I have discussed a few of these new black characters in some videos, but this is a good indicator that we're getting some progress considering that there's still more to come. I got to a point that I actually forgot there were some other characters that are actually really enjoyable on a lot of these lists. That's why there's more volumes to come for it. These characters vary. They get to be leads, they get to be supporting, they get to be anything. Now, of course, there are a few slip-ups here and there, but I'm thankful it's now a minority versus being the majority. It was and still is rough. We never got a slice of the pie, even though we finally were invited to the table, but now we're starting to whet our appetites. There are black characters that are just about for everyone now, and I think a few of us at least have someone that means a lot to us.
Amen. My favorite black cartoon character is Johnny 2x4. And man of 1,000 thoughts, I gotta tell you right now, you had to help me on this because I don't want your comment section bullying you on the fact that he is not black. You need to agree with me on this one. And I know you do, so don't fake. I know you. I talk to you. Johnny, aka Johnny 2x4, aka Johnny the Wood Boy, aka Johnny and Plank, developed by aka Cartoon Studios from Ed, Edd n Eddy, is a prominent character because he's himself and nobody is fucking with that. There is no found footage in Ed, Edd n Eddy where characters have actively said, hey man, let's go hang out with Johnny. And no, it's not because they're mean or because he's black or anything like that. It's because Johnny's weird. And you know what? I'm weird too. Characters like Johnny, or just specifically Johnny, has shown me growing up that it's okay to be yourself as long as you're having fun. And sure, you having fun can come off as annoying to some others, but you can't please everybody. And that's just fine. You can have an imaginary friend. You can crack every bone in your body so hard that it makes animals cringe. You can put a giant fruit on your head and instantaneously turn into a superhero. Because why not? Also, Johnny was the only one giving the Eds the benefit of the doubt with their scams. So if you ask me, he's more important than you think. However, they did dog him really hard on the movie. For those that know me, it's obviously biased that I picked Johnny from Ed, Edd n Eddy, my favorite show in the whole wide world, but shut the fuck up.
Okay, for context, I scripted this like when man messaged me to do this, but I don't really have an excuse. I don't have any excuse. A black animated character that I connected with was Carol from Carol on Tuesday. It's not because of her Tims, and it ain't because I like her dreads. Well, maybe a little. I like Carol because I connected with her struggle with communication. She makes it clear in the first episode that she struggles to open up to people, primarily because of her upbringing and how her voice was often silenced. This feeling of only being able to communicate through your art was something I really connected with. One of the things I can immediately think of is the scene in the first episode where she plays the melody to Loneliest Girl on the bridge when no one will listen. And while we do see Tuesday understand the language of her music, it's made really clear that she's very accustomed to this lifestyle. The speed in which she runs off and grabs the piano when she's caught, she's used to it. The frantic waking up for the part-time job, she's used to it. Her jumping on the skateboard as she traverses the traffic to get to work, this was a sick scene by the way, she's used to it. A lot of shows try a bit too hard to communicate loneliness and isolation, but because her actions are very normalized in the debut episode, it's clear she's grown very accustomed to the fast lifestyle of isolation. It's cool, but not in a forced way. Carol isn't a character playing it cool, she's just kind of doing what's normal to her. It's why a major part of the first season is Tuesday processing just how much Carol has grown accustomed to her current lifestyle, and that she hasn't really taken the time to reflect on how she's been impacted by abandonment, and by extension, struggling to open up to people. These are all feelings I really relate to, as someone who grew up in a household, without parental figures, and understands how easily you can convince yourself that your isolated reality is normal, that keeping your problems to yourself is normal, that understanding the only way you can function as a human being is getting on a bridge every day to express, not even praying that someone will listen, because there's a very big difference, but that someone will at least hear you. That's why I really relate to Carol. One of my favorite episodes is the one where Tuesday falls for a guy that doesn't even like her. I've got what his name was, Dylan or something. And Carol doesn't overtly stop her, but instead tries to give her guidance from a distance. She's seen a lot and tries to support people from a distance because really it's the only way she really knows how. I'm sorry if that went on too long. What's the time? What's my time on? 3 minutes. Let me speed this up. The point is to identify is to not feel alone. And a lot of black people feel really alone in a medium that institutionally discriminates against them, and a world that doesn't even necessarily favor them. Why am I saying necessarily? It just doesn't. Black representation is important in media, in cartoons, and generally just across the spectrum. Alright, I'm gonna go play some Pokemon now.
Hey, how's it going everybody? My name is Chill, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite black characters in animation, Calderan, also known as Aqualad from Young Justice. So when I first heard of Young Justice, I was just watching it sporadically on TV whenever it would air over here, and I would see Aqualad and I would be like, I like this dude. I didn't really pay attention to the show because I didn't remember anything, but I just looked at him and I was like, I like this dude. And for years I remembered, I don't know much about Young Justice, but I like Aqualad. And eventually, about a year ago, when I decided to rewatch Young Justice, I remembered I liked Aqualad. And after finishing the series, I love Aqualad. One of the reasons why he's one of, if not my favorite black character in animation, hell, characters in Young Justice, is just, well, his role in all 3 seasons. In season 1, he was the obvious leader. Like, other characters had pretty good qualities. Other, characters like Robin or Superboy, they look more, iconic. So some people would think, oh, they're gonna be the leaders. But then Aqualad proves himself to be the leader. While Robin might be more tactical, Aqualad can balance that out with being, not as sporadic or impulsive. While Superboy might be strong, Aqualad thinks about what he does before he does it. so on and so forth with every single member of the team, even when they add more. While some characters may be more specialized, Aqualad is sort of the balance between them all, and that's what makes him a great leader. And during season 2 and 3, even though he's not the main focus of the show anymore, the things that he does, the little arcs that he's a part of, he steals the show. He does his role amazingly in season 2 with the sort of Black Manta storyline, and in season 3 with the sort of general Justice League storyline. He's always stole the show for me, and one of the things that makes him steal the show very easily is just his personality. Like, he'll always talk with a very calm voice, but somehow it's like chill, but loud. Like, when Aqualad is talking, you know to pay attention. He makes you pay attention with his vocabulary, his tone of voice. It's so unique for the rest of the characters, even the other Atlanteans. Also, he's just a really cool dude. He's super caring for all of his teammates individually. He knows how to make them feel better, the best he can. There's not many times where Aqualad will say something and, people will take it the wrong way. Most of the time, he knows how to either motivate them or get them back on their feet. And unlike a lot of the other characters in Young Justice, his character flaw isn't with how he interacts with other people, but how he sees himself, his self-doubt, and his feelings of inadequacy towards being the leader when he compares himself to other leaders like Batman and Superman and such. And even though the Young Justice team had multiple leaders, Aqualad is still my favorite just because of his powers. Aqualad has really cool powers. His sort of hydrokinesis thing, water swords, water creation, water manipulation. It's really cool, and how he uses it is really creative with his little sword thingies. From the very first episode, that is what made him stand out compared to his mentor. It's just that he just had cooler powers. The other thing that made him stand out to his mentor and basically everyone else in the cast was just his appearance. I'm trying to say anything got drip, bro. Come on. Look at the fade. Ooh. Look at the clothes. Ooh. Look at the shoes. He got no shoes. Nigga saucing. Know what I mean? Ooh. Ooh. I don't know if you could tell, but I like Aqualad a lot.
Sup, Streaks? I'm Arteice, and my favorite Black animated character is Jessica Williams from Craig of the Creek. Jessica is the youngest of the Williams family and the most relatable character, to me at least. An imaginative younger sister who's usually underestimated, but her wit and charm helps her come out on top? That's literally Kitten Arteice. Literally me right now. She would occasionally tag along with Craig and his friends at the creek, but as the series progressed, Jessica got some episodes and even some shorts focusing on her. My favorite being her wanting to bond with her dad over video games, just like her brothers have done. It reminded me of my dad play fighting with my brothers, and I wanted to join in too. I mean, I knew I'd get squashed, but hey, family bonding is important to me. She's a natural-born leader, outspoken, loyal to her family, and Jessica's cuteness is her greatest weapon against adults during Halloween. I'd buy this girl the whole damn candy store if she wanted. Plus, Little Miss is getting her own spin-off series called Jessica's Big Little World. Yas, we love seeing Black excellence. We love seeing young Black girls being the star of their own shows, getting the recognition she rightly deserves.
TOONRIFICTARIQ, and my favorite Black character growing up was Gerald Johansson from Hey Arnold. He was just really, really cool. I don't really have anything else left to say. I just didn't want to be left out.
This may be like a little obscure, a little out there, but the Black character that I would say that definitely impacted me most growing up was Princess P from Super Y. I believe it came out the year I was in kindergarten, so 2007, and words cannot describe how much seeing that character meant to me, because I was going through my phase where I loved everything pink and princess and fantasy, and up until then I had never seen a girl who looks like me hold a magic wand and wear a pink dress and be a princess. So to see not only a Black girl, but a Black girl who had the same hair as me, who had the same personality as me, who was my same age, be a main character in a show that I love watching as a kid, meant the world to me. And fun fact, I actually got temporarily suspended from elementary school over this show Super Y and this character Princess P, because we were going to play Super Y on the playground and this white girl said that she was going to be Princess P. And I was not having it that day. That was my character. She looked like me. That girl had every other Disney princess out there. Princess P was mine and I was not going to take that.
Okay, so most of my friends know that when it comes to representation, While I do think it's really important and we need a lot more of it, it really doesn't affect me all that much. I don't know why. Maybe it's because a lot of the black characters I grew up with didn't really act like me, so it kind of just stopped mattering to me, and I just relate to characters on their personality and stuff. But there was only one character that I ever related to because they were black, and that was Virgil Hawkins, or Static Shock. Or Static if you're cultured. He was this nerdy, sarcastic, jokey joke guy who also wanted to be like the best he could be and help everyone around him while also like, you know, struggling with his own things. Like, I was like, oh, that's me. I'm that. I'm like that gifted kid who can't stop joking around because he's probably insecure. And I think the fact that he was black, like, ultimately sealed it. Like, it's like, yo, I've never related to a character more. And like, so for that reason, like, Static has always been that one black character where I'm just like, yes, I am glad that who they are, and I'm glad that they're black, you know? So, thanks, Static Shock.
Hey y'all, it's HARRIYANNA, the captain with no first mate, and I'm gonna tell you guys about why Wyatt from 16 is special to me. I watched 16 during a time of my life when things weren't the best. I was dealing with a lot of pain, and most of that pain, let's say about 95% of it, was caused by black guys my own age. But I won't go into too much detail about what was happening. This strongly affected the way I view black men, I'm not gonna lie. Having Wyatt there, seeing Wyatt in general, did a lot for me at the time. I personally think Wyatt is one of the best characters in 16 because not only was he entertaining, he genuinely was a nice person. During this time of my life, Wyatt showed me that I shouldn't judge all black men by the actions of a few others. There are plenty of good ones out there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Blade, and today I'm going to be talking about a character that I felt best represented me as I was growing up. And that character was Lil D from Class of 3000. Now, Class of 3000 as a whole really means a lot to me because it was a show that was based around in my hometown in Atlanta. And it really represented our culture and what people are like in that city so well. And it helped me feel like that, yeah, a story can be well told about me in a way, even though that it wasn't really that technically me. But that's where Lil D really came in, because being a young black boy in a single parent household was something that I had to go through myself, and having to see him really want to go through that drive and being one of the best and wanting to travel the world and all that, I had those aspirations when I was growing up. And I was a part of the band, even though I wasn't a drummer. I played saxophone and trombone when I was growing up. It still felt really close to home. And now that I've gotten older, I get to say that, yeah, I think Lil D best represented me because he was a kid from Atlanta. He had played in the band, and he had those dreams and wanting to show his talents to the world. And I still have those aspirations today. But now I get a chance to feel, humbled about where I came from and really enjoy the time that I have here in my hometown. So, and I really want to thank Lil D for that.
So, throughout my entire life, I had always been enamored and engaged with action and superhero shows, movies, and comics. And for the most part, representation was sparse. So rarely did I see many black women in prominent roles within these shows, and so when I did, they really stood out and they left an impact. For me, I think one of the first characters that stood out in that regard was Bumblebee from the early 2000s run of the Teen Titans. Not only did she show up and kick some ass, but she actually led the team over at Teen Titans East. I don't know if I can fully express how impactful that leadership role was for me. There's also the plus of seeing a prominent black woman with natural hair. While it's something you see more of today, while I was growing up it was much rarer. And historically, as one of the first black women that was a DC hero, I really would love to see them do more with the character. I know they've brought her back within Teen Titans Go, and I really hope that opens the door for us to see more of her in the future.
Representation for us is important because we were able to see someone like us leading the charge on something. We could see black heroes in a fantasy adventure or just simple protagonists being in a slice of life story. These characters inspired many black youths to write their own stories with more people that looked like them. There are black projects in the works as we speak that definitely could use some attention considering how they help the culture. We aren't 100% at the best spot, and there definitely is some more work to be done in terms of black creatives getting in the driver's seat of major projects. But there's always some black excellence to look forward to. But that's just a thought.
It's okay. That was good.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, so thanks.
It's your inner power. You have to stay calm and feel connected to one another.
Even though they're not perfect, in fact, I have an extensive list of complaints. They're my real family. And I love them just the way they are.
Saving the neighborhood isn't a game. It's real life. And in real life, you can't always win.
I thought all you cared about was winning.
I suppose I deserve that.
I thought that winning would be worth turning my back on you, but ever since then, I've regretted it so much. I was wrong.
I never knew how important it would be to meet a role model like you.
Role model?
Yeah, a black superhero. I don't know, it validates me somehow.
Heroes come in every color, my friend.
I don't need you to make me a man. I already am one.
You're tough enough to handle this world on your own.
Trust us the way we trust you.
Love takes time, and love takes work.
You were the best, and I was so proud to be your sister.
You know God, kid, because I believe in you.
You don't know anything about me, asshole.
Hanging out with y'all made the creek feel new today.
Granddad, what do you do when you can't do nothing, but there's nothing you can do?
You do what you can.
Thank you.